today sucks. Well, the last 24 hours really sucks. I really didn't want to talk about this, but I had to, and I had to wait till I cooled down from the news from earlier, because of course I got it when, I couldn't tweet out anything or whatever. That's when it broke. And then as soon as I received it, it was like an hour later. Always fun, but I'm calm, I'm collected. Something I haven't been all week. Not all week, but the last 24 hours, that's something I haven't been. I'm glad I'm more calm than I was yesterday. But this is a sucky situation. A lot of rumors spiraling from Fickle to Freeman. Everything. And we're going to get right into it. So first, obviously Brian Kelly's going to LSU. It sucks. He blindsided us just like he did to Cincinnati. Same exact thing. And then he sends out a mass message to everybody that basically said, I was going to tell you, but I will tell you tomorrow morning. They held a team meeting at the Goog. But literally that night, from one source, news broke, it was a recruiter as she was walking out of a recruit's house. Doesn't that just look great? Brian Kelly was actually recruiting on the West Coast when news broke. Great time for news to break. Blindside hit. He's getting paid almost $10 million a year. And he's got incentives laced in his contract like probably no tomorrow. Then he shoots something out to Freeman and Reese. He offered Freeman a very large contract. I don't know. There's nothing on the contract he offered Reese. It probably wasn't that big. But at this point, I think Notre Dame has to hire Freeman as fast as possible. Try to sustain, bring back Tommy Reese, bring back as much staff as possible. As long as you can get Reese and Freeman back, you sustain a lot of your recruits and a lot of some of those other assistant coaches. You'll sustain recruits. You'll sustain players. So far, we've had one decommit since the Cali news, and that was Devin Moore, defensive back from Florida in 2022 class. Thinking likely he's probably going to get heavily recruited by Florida and some of Florida area schools and LSU. But that is, as of right now, more are probably to come at some point. Now I don't know if Bramblett will leave, though, especially if that punter that decommitted from Wake Forest to come to Notre Dame decommits again. Then I think Bramblett could stay. But as of right now, uncertain future for Bramblett. I thought I'd bring that up, but he's reached out to both. Swarbrick came out today in his presser and said that he can wait. He's not naming an interim as of right now. And I guess we're going to roll with it. And he's going to wait for and I've heard from people that supposedly have insiders. Right now I've only heard it once that we could be waiting for Fickle. If you're waiting for Fickle, you're making a mistake. Hire Freeman now. You've got a lot of your defense backing him. You've got a lot of recruits backing him. You've got a lot of people. You've got everybody backing Freeman. What's the worst that can happen? He fails. So what? It's a high risk, high reward. If you don't take the risk, you could go years knowing we didn't take that chance on the guy we should have. I think you've got everything to gain and not much to lose at this point. When Freeman came in, he pushed recruiting to a next level, especially on that defensive side. As the year's gone on, he's excelled. The defense looks a lot better. They're using guys well, like Ramon Henderson, moving him to safety. If he can do that in 1 year coming to Notre Dame, I'm fine seeing what he can do as a head coach. I'm fine. Let Reese do what he wants with the offense, and then he can pick up where he left off with the defense. That's fine. Freeman can do that. Not only that, he's a great recruiter. Now, I don't have the best info on Reese or his stance on recruiting. As of right now, I see him as he can get better. He's good, but he can get better. You don't hear much about him recruiting at times, mostly. I'd still be fine bringing him back. Great coach. With more freedom, I think it would work better with Tommy Reese. And not only that, somebody brought up something earlier today. Actually, I think it was Notre Dame recruiting that really stuck. And it was, there's been so much talent in the Brian Kelly era, especially quarterback. But look how the quarterbacks have done. The most successful is Ian Book. You had guys like the Sean Kaiser, too. You had, at one point, I don't know his name off the top of my head again. I was just talking about him. He was right before him. If I remember correctly, Clausen was near the beginning of the Brian Kelly era. Because if I remember correctly, it went Quinn Clausen. Let me look this up to make sure. But you haven't really had a great quarterback that's excelled, that's really pushed his team to the next level. You can argue Book all day, and I think that's a good argument, but Clausen, too. Clausen was another guy. Quinn was a guy, but other than that, there's been nothing. Nothing. Here, I'm pulling up Notre Dame. I don't know all of them off the top of my head. I'm forgetting his name. He was right before Ian Book, and then he transferred. I should know it, too. It's one of those names where it's easy to forget, and it's easy to remember, but it's also easy to forget at times. But, man, I really hope we keep Buckner. And in other news, Brendan Clark did find a place. He is now with Old Dominion. But nope, Clausen. Yeah, Clausen was here. Was here 2009. So what was that? The year Brian Kelly came in. Not really his quarterback, but Reese, great quarterback, a lot of talent, a lot of potential. I don't know if he took that next step. Everett Goldson did great. Never was someone like an Ian Book. Dwayne Christ played one game in 2011, played most of a season in 2010. Then it was Reese time. Not a great quarterback. Malik Zaire played one game in 14, 2 and 15, and then was gone. You had Goldson, 2014, his senior year. Yeah, not to the level of an Ian Book or a Quinn or a Clausen, I would say. Deshaun Kaiser, electric, great player. He's up there, but he's not. He never was the guy who took the next step. Brandon Wimbush, that's who it is. Wimbush, great player, just got outshone by Ian Book, and at that point, it was game over. So quarterbacks never took that next step under Kelly. Under a guy like Reese, who's been there, who's done that at quarterback, he knows what he's doing. He played here. He knows what it's like. I think that can help. And that would be a good thing to bring him back, keep him as a quarterback's coach. Be fun. But at the end of the day, I just don't know. already talked about the decommit of Florida DB Devin Moore. Not really much to talk about there. Nope, I'll leave that till last. So, Fickell, Freeman, other candidates. Now, Meyer has been brought up. Meyer has openly said that he's not taking the job. He is staying in Jacksonville. Not surprised. He's already said this before about other jobs. Why would that change? Fickell, great coach. I have some questions about him too, just like Freeman. And honestly, I think Freeman's the better choice. I think Freeman's the best choice, but I think Fickell would be a good number 2 option. Now, other people that have really been brought up with this, and there's a bunch that have been rumored. There's a couple that have been noted. Let me find it. Okay, yep, this is new. This came out an hour ago. I didn't see this. So, according to sources, Notre Dame will be meeting with Tommy Rees sometime in the near future. They want to keep him here. And LSU's proposed offer for Rees was $400K above Notre Dame. And Rees has a desire to stay in South Bend at this time. Let's go. That's what I want to hear. But there's one more thing I want to hear. Marcus Freeman is the next head coach of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. That's what I want to hear. But I don't know if we're going to hear that. And one reason I'm really behind him is just because he's got the support of everybody. They see a lot of stuff too behind closed doors that we don't. Why not? If the coaches, the players, even the recruits, if everybody believes in Freeman, why can't we? And I know a lot of fans think the same thing. There is Notre Dame. Some people are really going after Brian Kelly. I don't blame him. If I did the same thing that I did to Cincinnati to Notre Dame, I wouldn't blame people for coming after me either. Looks like especially Tyson Ford, as I'm noting here, is a big guy with Freeman. So I think if Freeman leaves, guys like Ford's going to leave too, especially him. He was the first recruit talked to by Freeman as a Fighting Irish coach. But now, so Fickell earlier today basically said, quote, "There is no speculation." This is on the Notre Dame coaching job. He said, quote, "There is no speculation. Is the job open? I guess it is, but I wouldn't know if somebody didn't tell me." Unquote. Okay, so does that mean you don't want to take the job? I don't know. I saw that earlier. I don't know what it means. I don't know if he's going to come here, but there's a reason I've been pushing for Freeman to be coach, and I will push for Freeman to be coach until somebody's named or he's gone. Yeah, there's nothing that I'm finding up at the top that's really saying anything. Oh, this was from yesterday. I did find this. Apparently, there was a target from Notre Dame to Cliff Kingsbury as a potential replacement. But Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that would really happen. I don't know if there's enough there that they could put on the table to bring him in. I don't know if I want Cliff Kingsbury. It's all a matter of, well, how, really. At this point, you're down to two options right now. Freeman, Fickle. Pick Freeman now, and if you can't get him, get Fickle. But whatever. It's just, I can't find anybody right now. Looking, and I'm not finding anybody that's got any real note on him, on another head coach. All I'm hearing is a lot of Fickle, and Freeman. A lot of people say they're targeting Fickle, but a lot of people are calling for Freeman at the same time. I haven't really heard much on Freeman. I just got the news an hour ago about Tommy Rees, from an hour ago about Tommy Rees, so I don't know. This is going to be a painful situation for the next at least 48 hours. If Swarbrick's going to do what he said he was going to do, and he's going to take it slow, that's a bad idea. I get you don't want to rush into it, but you've got a guy sitting right in front of you. I get it. Brian Kelly offered him a big contract. So what? Offer him a head coaching job. I'm sure he's a young guy. I'm sure he's going to want the opportunity to prove himself as a coach over a coordinator. Why not? Why not? If you got to have a bidding war, have a bidding war. So what? It ain't going to hurt us. Unless he turns out to be the next Charlie Weiss, which I don't think he will, then it may be a decently high risk, but it's also a very high reward if you play your cards right. I don't know. I really don't know. And there's a lot of speculation about everything. Nobody has said, and nobody's come out and said anything. Who was it? Somebody yesterday, a former running back, I forget his name off the top of my head, came out and said Freeman was going to be hired as the new head coach. Yeah, that was fake. But no, it was a nightmare. All right, so let's dig into the tweets for Shorebrick's presser, because quiet night in the chat, I guess. I was hoping somebody else would be here so I could get somebody to yell with, but all right, so we say, okay, this one I'll leave out for now. That I'm gonna have a separate video on. That would probably be out tomorrow on Schwarbrick's quote about facilities. And then all right, here it is. I got it now. Schwarbrick said at one point, Brian Kelly came to appreciate academic requirements, housing situation, everything that comes along with Notre Dame. Sure. But he's still gone. So there's something there behind closed doors that I think isn't being said about this situation. Actually, and still, I have to, that just reminded me, don't ask why, I have to check, I gotta watch the Inside the Garage podcast. It's Kyle Hamilton, Cam Hart, and those guys. That'll be interesting, because from what I've heard, it seems like there's no hate towards Kelly, nothing. So, if their Twitters say anything, it's probably a lot more, they probably support a lot for Freeman, and it'll be interesting. But nope, not what I'm looking for to see. I field tweets and then I mix them up. I do it every time, and I never mean to. Okay, here's another one. Quote, when I looked at the team that played the last half of the season, I don't see a gap. I think this team is really well positioned. I think we can play with anybody in the country. Good. But you still need a coach. You still need a coach. And it should be Freeman. And at one point, he said he wanted to find the right coach, and he wasn't putting a timeline on naming a head coach despite NSD and potential college football playoff game, etc. He stressed finding the right guy and not rushing into a decision. But at the same time, Freeman's on the table. He's got an offer from LSU, and he could go as soon as now. So you should get on that. I mean, Jack Collinsworth even said, after countless, and I'm quoting this from his tweet, quote, after countless calls, this could be as unanimous as I have seen in the Notre Dame community. Strong feeling that the program is in the perfect place to hire a rising star. Current players, former players, recruits, and fans are all extremely high on Marcus Freeman, short and long term. End quote. Okay. If everybody's in agreement, everybody else but Swarbrick's in agreement, why not? Again, if people want to play for him, if people want to come play for him as recruits, if people want to coach alongside him and coach for him, again, why not? It could be beneficial in the end. Yep, that was the quarterback thing that I already talked about. And then here's another thing that I think he should have at least noticed a little bit of. And he said, quote, there is a sense when you get, I'm assuming that it's supposed to be two, but it's you, work with someone for 12 years that there is a restlessness. Or that there is a restlessness. There was, I can't even say it, I'm going to butcher it, and I don't know if it's a typo or not. Slips along the way that grab my attention. It feels like someone open to a new opportunity. AKA, his demeanor changed, his thought process changed a little bit. You noticed, and through slips here and there, and like slips of tongue or whatever. But you didn't. You took no precautions. This is Swarbrick we're talking about. And I think I have one more. No, I don't. But I do have this from sources that apparently Brian Kelly's address to the team at 7 a.m. this morning lasted less than 2 minutes. Then he turned around and walked out. Now, he walked out of the Goog around 11 minutes after the meeting started, I think, was what was said. The players didn't walk out till 7:23. So there's obviously some talking behind the scenes. I think a lot of the guys may or may not be on the same page. Is there a reason why there's been such a mass push for Marcus Freeman? I mean, from recruits like Bryant and Burhan to guys like Kyle Hamilton, Cam Hart, everybody has pushed, really. And no, he did not take he did not take questions from the players. He just left after he said something. I think there's something there behind the scenes. I don't know what it is. We probably, and I don't think a lot of people are going to know what it is. I don't think a lot of people do know what it is. I don't think we'll know what it is for a while. But when we figure it out, I think it could connect everything. And something was said behind those closed doors that it could help push for Freeman. I don't know. But those players, if they stayed behind for so long, what did they say is really what I want to know. What is going on? But then this is the last thing I'll really talk about before I go. Do we keep both Reese and Freeman? In an ideal scenario, yeah, we do. We keep Reese as an OC, which, as of right now, from what I'm hearing, he likely wants to stay. And the hard part, I think, as of right now, keyword as of right now, because I don't want to say anything and then completely be proved wrong like I've done before, Freeman. That's the hard part, is keeping Freeman unless you give him even if you offer him the coaching job. He's not guaranteed to take it, but I think there's a high chance he does. If you don't, I think he's gone. I think he's completely gone if you don't offer him that deal. So it's either you offer him and there's a good chance he stays, in my opinion, a good chance, or you don't offer him, you let him walk. You not only have to find a new head coach, you've got to find a new defensive coordinator, you've got to find some new staff, and probably a good amount of new players too. Have fun with that. Because if Freeman goes, I think a lot of recruits are going to go and a lot of defensive players are going to go. Not going to be good at all. If that happens, if they let Freeman walk, Reese goes, and Brian Kelly is now gone, and a good amount of staff goes, and with that, players and recruits, be ready for a dark time in Notre Dame football. I'll say it now. Be ready. Because if that happens, a dark time is coming, and it's going to last for a while. But yeah, that's all I really have. I wanted to at least talk on it for a while without exploding and getting angry or loud. Thankfully, I managed to do just that. And hopefully the situation plays out for the better. Hopefully we can keep Freeman and Reese and a lot of the staff, a lot of the players, and a lot of the recruits. And hopefully Freeman gets that job offer soon. Because if not, it's too late. And we're going to have to go with Fickle. Fickle, I think, as of right now, as of the guys who are being targeted, is the next best option. And there's some question marks. So be ready for that. I'm still in shock that Brian Kelly even took this and screwed us over like he did Cincinnati. But he did. And I guess I'm going to end it there. It's been a quiet evening compared to yesterday. A lot of speculation, a lot of question marks, a lot of everything. You know who I am. I will be back. I guarantee I'm going to have to be back later in the week because of news. See ya.